The story begins in a classroom where a teacher explains polynomials and monomials. Most students ignore him, their heads down, either dozing off or distracted. However, one student listens attentively, carefully noting down every word. The teacher notices the rest of the class sleeping but decides to continue, directing his lecture at the only student paying attention. That student, Yoon Jae-min, is a 10th grader at Useong Technical High School. Though he listens to the teacher, he remains the worst in his class. Since the beginning of his school life, he has never achieved success. Despite attending several academies, his grades never improve, and he consistently ranks near the bottom. After seeing no results, he hires a private tutor, hoping for a breakthrough. However, nothing changes. No matter how much effort he puts in, like studying on the bus, studying while doing household chores, or late at night, he always finds himself stuck at the second or third last position in class. One day, while walking through the school hallway, he overhears two students talking about Useong Technical High School. As he passes them, one of them expresses his desire to attend the school, sounding desperate. Jae-min doesn't realize they are being sarcastic and take their words seriously. Eventually, he joins Useong, believing it to be a place where he can finally improve. On his first day, he approaches his classroom and opens the door, only to freeze in shock. The room is in complete chaos. Students yell, throw things, and climb on desks as if the class has no discipline at all. Despite the disorder, Jae-min manages to get through his first day. But soon, he realizes that his assumption was wrong. Although the students appear unruly from the outside, they actually study hard. Unfortunately for him, this means he still ends up near the bottom, ranked 219th out of 220 students. Sitting at his desk, staring at his result sheet, he contemplates his next move. He convinces himself that it's not too late to improve. If he studies harder and finds the right approach, he might still have a chance to get into a good college. The next day, he scans the classroom, looking for someone to study with. His eyes land on a student who seems focused, and he decides to approach him. As he asks the student if he would like to study together, the boy remains silent for a moment. Jae-min assumes he is considering the offer. However, before the student can respond, another boy suddenly appears and shoves him to the ground. The attacker, ranked 173rd, confirms if his target is ranked 170th before charging at him, starting a fight. The class erupts in excitement, cheering them on and calling it a battle of losers. Jae-min watches in disbelief as the two students throw punches at each other over their rankings. Eventually, number 173 manages to knock number 170 to the ground. As the fight appears to end, another student steps forward, warning number 170 that if he doesn't fight properly, he will report him to the disciplinary department. Realizing he has no choice, number 170 resumes the fight. However, as the fight resumes, number 173 manages to land a punch on number 170's stomach, making him collapse again. Just then, the school bell rings. A student walks over and updates their rankings on an app. Number 173 moves up to 170, while the defeated student drops to 171. At that moment, the discipline chief enters the room, commanding everyone to return to their seats. As the class disperses, Jae-min approaches number 171, helping him pick up his scattered books and straighten his desk. Meanwhile, the discipline chief announces that their homeroom teacher, Mr. Park, is on leave for personal reasons and that a new teacher will take over. A few moments later, the new teacher enters. She introduces herself as Lee Han Kyung and states that she will be in charge of Class 4 for the 10th grade. As Jae-min glances at her, his eyes widen in recognition. He immediately realizes that she is the same teacher who used to tutor him privately when he was younger. As she begins attendance, she calls out a student's name, Yoo Sung-yeon. At that exact moment, someone in the class farts loudly. An awkward silence follows before the students burst into laughter. Before the teacher can regain control, a coffee cup flies across the room and barely misses her, hitting the board instead. Lee Hyun-woo, the student responsible, looks up and complains about the noise, saying he is trying to sleep. Looking around, he asks who farted. When a student timidly raises his hand, Hyun-woo walks over and slaps him twice. Before he can continue, the teacher intervenes, ordering him to behave. Surprisingly, he listens and starts heading back to his seat. However, another student curses at him, accusing him of throwing his coffee on the board. Angered, Hyun-woo grabs the student and throws him out of the classroom. The class rushes toward the windows and door to watch the fight. Hyun-woo begins beating the student while the others cheer. The teacher, however, slams the attendance sheet on her desk again and again before asking the students to go back to their seats. Despite her efforts, the students continue to mock her and ignore her commands. Hyun-woo, however, walks back into the classroom and tells everyone to listen to the teacher. His words seem to have an effect, and the class finally settles down. Lee-han opens her book and starts teaching. After class, she steps outside to throw some trash away. As she approaches the bin, she notices it is filled with cigarette butts. Looking around, she realizes how messy the school truly is as the students casually stand around smoking near the dustbins, completely unbothered. Just then, Jae-min walks up to her. She glances at him for a moment before recognition dawns on her face. Within seconds, she remembers exactly who he is. As they sit down to talk, Lee-han apologizes for quitting without notice, explaining that she had some personal matters to handle. Jae-min acknowledges it without pressing further and asks if she plans to stay at the school, mentioning that the last homeroom teacher had quit within a month. Lee-han assures him that she has no intention of leaving, adding that it would be embarrassing to quit on the first day. Changing the topic, she asks if he is doing well in his studies. Jae-min casually smiles and shares that he has been trying something new lately. After the lunch break, Jae-min returns to class and notices student number 171, Se-hyun, leaving the room. Out of curiosity, he decides to follow him and eventually finds himself in the library. While Se-hyun sleeps peacefully on the floor, Jae-min sits a few sections away and starts talking, mentioning that studying with a friend would be helpful. When Se-hyun continues to ignore him, Jae-min remains persistent and repeats that he needs a study partner. As Se-hyun changes his position in frustration, Jae-min follows him and tries to get his attention by offering candy, claiming that it helps the brain. However, Se-hyun remains uninterested, even when Jae-min attempts to befriend him and suggests eating together the next day. Se-hyun simply gets up and leaves the table, making it clear that he has no interest in making friends. Despite this, Jae-min keeps talking, wishing that someone would teach him. Eventually, Se-hyun grows so frustrated that he agrees to tutor him, on the condition that Jae-min never bothers him again if he does. Jae-min quickly agrees, and Se-hyun ends up explaining him that 0.999 is equal to 1. Jae-min immediately disagrees, arguing that no matter how close it gets, it can never be exactly 1. Annoyed, Se-hyun uses a cake as an example, explaining that if a cake is split into 3 equal parts, each piece would be 0.333, and when put back together it would total 0.999, proving that it equals 1. However, Se-hyun is caught off guard when Jae-min points out that the missing 0.001 is still on the knife used to cut the cake. Meanwhile, Lee-han visits the vice principal's office to report students smoking and asks him to remove the drums. The vice principal responds by questioning whether that alone would make a difference. Taking out a cigarette, he remarks that even after 40 years, he himself hasn't been able to quit, leaving Lee-han stunned. He then lights the cigarette and tells her that if she wants the drums gone so badly, she should remove them herself. Back in the library, Se-hyun glances at Jae-min's notebook and notices that he writes down every single word as notes, even in a subject like math. When Jae-min defends himself by saying that anything could appear on the test, Se-hyun interrupts and bluntly calls him an idiot for doing so, leaving Jae-min in shock. Jae-min then expresses his admiration, saying he wants to study well, just like Se-hyun. However, Se-hyun denies having any interest in studying. Jae-min immediately calls out the lie, pointing out his developing turtleneck syndrome from constant studying and the calluses on Se-hyun's right middle finger from excessive writing. Se-hyun, caught off guard, stays silent as Jae-min insists that his eyes reveal a desire to study and suggests forming a study group. Instead of answering, Se-Hyan sighs and dismisses the idea, saying that Pai-Han Wool would never allow it. Confused, Jae-min wonders who that is. Without hesitation, Se-Hyan picks up his phone and reveals that Pai-Han Wool is the creator of the ranking app. When Jae-min admits that he hasn't even heard of the app, Se-Hyan further explains that Pai-Han Wool is the son of Pai Yun-baek, the leader of the Yeonbaek gang, and adds that studying in the school is impossible. Unfazed, Jae-min pulls out a paper from his bag and hands it to Se-Hyan, leaving him speechless upon realizing that it is Jae-min's result sheet from the 10th grade placement test, where he ranked second out of 220 students. Jae-min again proposes forming a study group, but instead of responding, Se-Hyan silently takes the paper, rips it into pieces, and throws them away before ordering Jae-min to leave, insisting that he has no interest in studying. When Jae-min refuses to give up, Se-Hyan simply stands up and walks out of the library without another word, leaving Jae-min alone. A few days later, an assembly takes place where Pai-Han Wool receives an award. While the other students clap and cheer for him excitedly, he walks up to the stage to accept it. The teacher announces that he has outperformed everyone academically and, therefore, deserves the 2024 Academic Excellence Award. Unlike the rest of the students, Se-Hyan remains displeased, knowing that Pai-Han Wool does not truly deserve the award, even though the crowd celebrates him. Jae-min notices Se-Hyan's reaction and realizes that he actually feels upset about it. A little later, Se-Hyan visits the restroom in frustration and splashes water on his face. Just then, someone accidentally bumps into him from behind. Assuming it is Jae-min, still trying to convince him to form a study group, he yells at him to leave him alone. However, as he turns around, he realizes that it is not Jae-min but Hyan Woo. He immediately tries to apologize, but Hyan Woo is in no mood to listen and starts beating him. As Se-Hyan continues apologizing, Hyan Woo slaps him and demands that he bring 200,000 won by tomorrow if he is truly sorry. Se-Hyan, frightened, explains that he does not have that much money. Hearing this, Hyan Woo's anger only increases, and he drags Se-Hyan to an abandoned warehouse within the school, where his friends wait. He then orders them to bring a baseball bat to teach Se-Hyan a lesson. Meanwhile, Lee Han removes the drums by herself, knowing that no one will help her. Just then, she hears strange noises coming from the warehouse and decides to take a look. As she peeks inside, she sees Se-Hyan being beaten by a group of students. Alarmed, she rushes to two men standing nearby and asks for help, but they ignore her and walk away. Realizing that no one will assist her, she decides to handle the situation herself. As she approaches the warehouse door and tries to open it, Jae-min suddenly stops her, insisting that he will be the one to save Se-Hyan since he is his future study group partner. Inside, the students continue beating Se-Hyan, but stop abruptly when they hear the warehouse door opening. As they turn toward the entrance, Jae-min steps inside with a fire extinguisher and sprays it across the entire room, blinding and disorienting everyone. Seizing the opportunity, he grabs Se-Hyan and quickly leads him out, successfully rescuing him from Hyan Woo and his gang. Once outside, Jae-min removes his mask and asks if Se-Hyan is okay. Frustrated, Se-Hyan tells him to leave him alone, revealing that because of Jae-min, he is now in even bigger trouble. When Jae-min explains that he was only trying to help, Se-Hyan argues that he had almost finished taking the beating, but now, after running away like that, he will become a target for even more bullying. Jae-min realizes his mistake and feels guilty. As Se-Hyan walks away, he accidentally bumps into Hyan Woo on the way. Hyan Woo, furious, slaps him and demands to know who used the fire extinguisher and helped him escape. When Se-Hyan denies knowing the person's identity, Hyan Woo's anger escalates, and he slaps him again. Just as he raises his baseball bat to strike, Jae-min suddenly intervenes and blocks the attack with a swift kick. Since third grade, Jae-min has trained and worked out every single day. While training at Hanrim Gym, his tutor once suggested that he should become a martial artist, pointing out that all of his strengths lie in physical abilities. Impressed by Jae-min's block, Hyan Woo acknowledges his skill before attempting to punch him. However, Jae-min effortlessly blocks the attack and counters with a single punch, knocking Hyen Woo to the ground. However, Jae Min becomes nervous and approaches Hyen Woo, asking if he is okay. As Hyen Woo remains unconscious on the ground, he turns to Seo Hyen and again brings up the idea of forming a study group. Seo Hyen, however, immediately refuses before standing up, making it clear that he has no interest in joining any study group with him. When Jae Min asks for a reason, Seo Hyen points out that Jae Min lacks confidence and is afraid of being targeted by other students. He adds that this is why Jae Min wore a mask each time he tried to save him from Hyen Woo. Seo Hyen then walks away, leaving Jae Min standing there, upset, as he realizes that Seo Hyen is not wrong. At home, Seo Hyen sits down in front of his father for dinner. However, his father, in an angry tone, orders him to learn welding, insisting that studying and going to college will not bring any profit. As he starts drinking, he explains that having skills is the only way to earn respect. Seo Hyen remains silent for a moment before asking his father not to put too much pressure on him, reminding him that he has already quit studying and has no plans to attend college. At his son's tone, his father becomes furious and throws a bottle of alcohol, which barely misses Seo Hyen and shatters against the wall behind him. Frightened for a moment, Seo Hyen stands up angrily and storms out of the room. As he steps outside, he sits on the stairs, his gaze falling on his old notes. He recalls how dedicated he once was to studying when he was younger. Meanwhile, Jae Min lies on his bed, holding his notes, lost in thought. He remembers the time he first decided to join a study group after overhearing one of his mother's friends telling her that her son's ranking improved by 10 places after joining one. Encouraged by this, he had tried to join various study groups in his class, but every time he was rejected with different excuses. Eventually, feeling discouraged, he turns off the lamp and goes to sleep. The next morning, Lee Han wakes up to the sound of her alarm, groaning in frustration as she complains about not wanting to go to school. However, knowing that she is a teacher and has responsibilities, she forces herself out of bed. As she walks to school with excitement, her mood quickly shifts to shock when she sees several students smoking near the drums. However, she feels slightly relieved when she notices the discipline chief scolding them and ordering them to leave. After the students scatter, Lee Han approaches the discipline chief, who instructs her to remove the drums, mentioning that the inspection chief is on his way. Without waiting for a response, he walks away, leaving Lee Han with no choice but to handle the task herself. As she struggles to move the drums, a student approaches and helps her carry them away. After putting the drums aside, Lee Han thanks him and asks for his name. The student introduces himself as Park Jeon-yeep before suggesting that it might be better to leave the drums open, as the inspection chief could take action upon realizing the extent of smoking in the school. However, Lee Han dismisses the idea, explaining that while she shares the same concern, it is still their school, and they have a duty to protect and maintain its reputation properly. Lee Han then tells the student to return to his class, assuring him that she will handle the rest of the drums on her own. Meanwhile, Jae Min enters his classroom and notices Seo Hyen sitting at his desk, looking upset. As Jae Min reaches his own desk and begins taking out his books, he notices an unfamiliar book inside. Pulling it out, he quickly realizes that it belongs to Seo Hyen. It is his notes. Feeling happy, he immediately stands up and walks over to Seo Hyen's desk. As he shows him the book and expresses his gratitude, a bench suddenly flies straight toward his head, knocking him down. Hyen Woo steps forward and asks Seo Hyen to confirm whether Jae Min is the one who helped him while hiding his face with a mask. Picking up the notebook, Hyen Woo smirks as Jae Min, still on the floor, glares at him and demands that he return it. Meanwhile, the vice principal and the discipline chief walk alongside the inspection chief, who states that he will be keeping a close watch on Useong Technical High. As they step outside, they spot Lee Han struggling to move the drums by herself. The vice principal, irritated by the sight, looks at the discipline chief, who immediately rushes toward her to take over. Trying to divert attention, the vice principal asks the inspection chief to ignore the scene. However, the inspection chief walks up to Lee Han and asks her to stop. As she does, the discipline chief quickly picks up a drum and moves it away. The inspection chief then glances at Lee Han and asks if they have met before. Before she can respond, the vice principal quickly steps in, denying any prior connection and explaining that she is just a substitute teacher. He then urges the inspection chief to visit the training building instead. Just then, a plier suddenly flies out of a classroom window and lands dangerously close to them, catching everyone's attention. Recognizing that it came from her class, Lee Han immediately rushes toward the building. The scene shifts to a few minutes earlier when Hyen Woo orders everyone to leave the classroom except for Jae Min. As the students begin walking out, Se Hyen hesitates, catching Jae Min's attention. But Jae Min reassures him that he is fine before Se Hyen steps out. Jae Min then turns to Hyen Woo and demands the notebook back. However, Hyen Woo sets it on fire and tosses it aside. Jae Min, shocked, keeps his eyes on the burning notebook as Hyen Woo pulls out a plier and attacks him. Still focused on the notebook, Jae Min dodges every strike with ease. Frustrated, Hyen Woo yells at him to stop worrying about the notebook and pay attention to the fight. As Hyen Woo lunges at him again, Jae Min blocks the attack and counters with a quick move, knocking him to the ground. The students outside the classroom, watching through their phones, gasp in disbelief. Some call it a fluke, saying Jae Min is just a loser ranked at the bottom of the app. Jae Min steps toward the notebook, but Hyen Woo angrily gets up and charges at him again. Without even looking, Jae Min blocks the attack and knocks him down once more. Ignoring him, he rushes to the notebook, only to find it completely burned. He clenches his fists before turning back to Hyen Woo, demanding that he apologize to Se Hyen. Hyen Woo scoffs, pretending not to know who Se Hyen is, and charges again. Jae Min effortlessly blocks and counters his attacks before striking the plier out of his hand, sending it flying out of the window. Outside, the pliers land right next to the inspection chief. Despite the hits, Hyen Woo refuses to back down. He swings again, but Jae Min swiftly dodges and punches him in the face, sending him crashing to the floor. As he crawls backward, his eyes land on a burning school bag, which caught fire from the notebook. Desperate, he grabs the bag and hurls it toward Jae Min. The students outside watch in shock. But Jae Min reacts instantly, leaping into the air and catching the bag with his foot before kicking it back at Hyen Woo. Unable to react in time, Hyen Woo gets hit and collapses. Among the students watching is Park Jeon Yeep, the same student who helped Lee Han earlier. He observes as Jae Min steps forward and grabs the notebook once again before approaching Hyen Woo and demanding an apology for Se Hyen. Se Hyen, watching from the doorway, is reminded of the time he asked his father for support, only to be denied the chance to go to college. Unlike his father, Jae Min always stood up for him. Se Hyen strides into the classroom, picks up the burned notebook, and throws it in the trash. Jae Min, confused, says he only wanted to study from those notes. Se Hyen pauses before finally agreeing to join his study group, leaving Jae Min stunned. But a moment later, a smile spreads across his face as he laughs in happiness. Just then, Lee Han enters the classroom and is shocked to see the mess. Her eyes quickly land on the burning bag, and she rushes to grab the fire extinguisher, putting out the flames. Once done, she turns to Jae Min and Se Hyen, demanding an explanation. Before they can respond, the vice principal and the inspection chief walk in, drawing everyone's attention. The inspection chief notices a student lying on the floor, then shifts his gaze to Jae Min, asking for his name. Jae Min is taken to another room, where he sits alone until Se Hyen enters. Se Hyen thanks him for saving him from Hyen Woo both times. Jae Min, worried, tells him to leave, saying he will get into trouble. However, Se Hyen insists on helping, saying that since Jae Min is the study group's leader, he cannot just stand by. He then hands Jae Min his glasses, explaining that he found them while cleaning the classroom. Just then, the vice principal and the inspection chief enter the room. The vice principal notices Jae Min laughing and questions if he really thinks he is in a position to smile after causing so much trouble. Se Hyen quickly apologizes and leaves. As he walks through the chaotic hallway, the students around him suddenly straighten up and make way for him. Suspicious, He glances back and spots 3 students walking just behind him. He quickly steps aside, realizing that they are members of Pai-han Wool's group. As they pass, he clutches his chest and sighs, knowing that if he had not moved, the situation could have gone very differently. Meanwhile, the 3 students grab Hyein Woo and take him to Pai-han Wool, who is sitting on the rooftop with his friend. The students force Hyein Woo to kneel before Pai-han Wool while, from a nearby rooftop, Park Jeon-yeep silently watches as Pai-han Wool stands up and approaches him. Back in the office, the vice principal and the inspection chief sit in front of Jae-min. The vice principal assures the inspection chief not to worry about students like him, stating that every school has troublemakers. He then promises to have Jae-min expelled, leaving both Jae-min and Lee Han stunned. As Lee Han tries to defend him, the vice principal cuts her off, ordering her to prepare for the campus violence committee and summon Jae-min's parents. He then stands up and walks away. Before the inspection chief can leave, Lee Han speaks up, arguing that the fault lies with the school, not Jae-min. Both men turn to look at her as she points out that the school focuses more on a single inspection chief than on its 600 students. The vice principal defends himself, insisting that Jae-min is a bad student who resorted to violence. But Lee Han counters, explaining that Jae-min was bullied and attacked first. While she does not justify violence, she argues that given the school's environment, students have no choice but to defend themselves and use violence. The inspection chief chuckles and remarks that Lee Han truly deserved her position as the top scorer on the teacher certification exam. The vice principal looks at her in shock, asking if that is true. The inspection chief confirms it, adding that despite being the top scorer, she did not register for some reason, which led to her certification being cancelled. Jae-min recalls the time Lee Han tutored him and told him she wanted to be a good teacher, someone who positively influences students. The inspection chief then asks if she has any solutions for the school's problems. As the vice principal tries to dismiss her, Lee Han interrupts, suggesting that forming a study group would be a good idea, adding that it was the student's suggestion. The vice principal turns to the inspection chief, hoping to dismiss the idea, but the inspection chief interrupts, saying that forming a study group is a good idea and there is no harm if the students want to study. The next day, Jae-min wakes up at 5 a.m. and heads to the nearby park for his workout. As he exercises, the guard informs him that it is 6:34 a.m. and almost time for him to leave and go back home. Jae-min thanks him and returns home, locking the door from inside so that his mother does not find out that he woke up and went out so early. At 6:45 a.m., his mother enters his room and wakes him up, stating that it is almost time for him to get up and go to school. A few hours later, Se-hyeon stands near the school's main entrance, hiding as he waits for Jae-min. When he sees Jae-min approaching, he quickly starts walking, hoping Jae-min will notice him and come over as usual. Just as he expected, Jae-min spots him and rushes toward him, asking about his injuries. Se-hyeon tells him not to worry, but Jae-min insists that he will, saying that they are study partners and part of the same group. Hearing this, Se-hyeon becomes nervous and looks around, warning Jae-min not to use those words, as studying is unofficially forbidden in their school. Understanding the situation, Jae-min lowers his voice as Se-hyeon asks if the inspection chief really approved their study group. Jae-min nods, explaining that their group is officially recognized by the education department. Meanwhile, the vice principal questions Lee Han about her confidence in forming a study group, warning that if the group is cancelled, her contract will be terminated. Lee Han firmly states that she can handle it and thanks him before walking away. Just as she reaches the door, the vice principal stops her, wondering how she can still be so confident after experiencing more of the school's reality. A few moments later, Lee Han meets with Jae-min and Se-hyeon, revealing that they need to recruit 3 more students within 2 weeks, or the vice principal will cancel their study group. Both are shocked by the condition. While Se-hyeon remains doubtful, Jae-min reassures Lee Han, promising that they will find 3 more members and make their study group official. They come up with a plan to create posters and put them on the notice board, hoping to attract students' attention. As Jae-min predicted, a crowd gathers around the notice board, reading the poster and calling the person who put it up crazy. Watching from a distance, Jae-min grins before calling out to say Hyein, urging him to look at the crowd, revealing that gathering the students will not be a problem now.